Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have the sober entrepreneur. His name is Russ Perry. He is the founder of Design Pickle. If you have not heard of Design Pickle, you will be glad you listened to this. Go check them out. They create unlimited designs. So graphic designs, logos, artwork, PDF covers, you name it. I've known these guys for years. I know a couple of people that have worked for them and do work for them. They're all cool people. That's my first time hanging out with Russ. It was great getting to know him. So you're in for a treat on how he had an idea, how he was running a business, how he wasn't satisfied with his business, how he launched this new concept, how he has grown it. You are in for a treat. So get ready to take some notes, get ready to get inspired, and then go get you some unlimited graphics. So pretty cool service. In other areas, how would you like unlimited support to grow your sales? I mentioned it earlier. I have changed the pricing a little bit on the Make Every Sale program. You still have your 1-year money-back guarantee, but you can jump in on a monthly plan. Check it out, makeeverysale.com. I don't know how else to help you make mo money. I'm actually adding to the workbook right now. I've been on a bit of a growth spurt myself. Digging into some new concepts I've been testing, adding those to the workbook. I cover those all the time, though, in the live weekly calls that we do. We've been doing them Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. I am open to changing it. So, at the end of the year, it's a good time. I take a little survey, see if people want to move it, because I'm pretty flexible. Whatever works for the most people. But that's been our time for quite a while. So probably won't move it, but I'm open to it. If you join, you need another time, and everybody else doesn't mind, I'll move it for you. That's how kind and giving and flexible I am. But on a serious note, even though that was also kind of serious, what are you doing to encourage yourself to make sure that you are on the right track, that you're doing the right things, that you're being held accountable, that you're not just twiddling your thumbs, that you're not majoring in the minors? Having this type of accountability in the material that's pre-done, right, that you can download and watch on demand, in the group where you can ask questions and get real-time answers, and in the live calls where I'll take your question, address it, dive into it, dissect it. Where else can you get that for, a couple $100 a month? I don't know. With that type of 1-year guarantee. So I think it's time to quiet the input. It's been so nice. I wish I could show you my inbox. Last year in December, it was around Thanksgiving, right around 1st of December. I got a wild hair in 2016 to empty my inbox. I don't even know, I think 13,000 messages in my inbox. And over the course of the month, I sorted and sifted and deleted and unsubscribed and filed away everything. So when I started this year, 2017, I had inbox 0. Right now, I'm around 500. So that's pretty dang good over the course of a year. And but I've gotten better. I've unsubscribed from so many things, and I'm getting even better. I have a person helping me, kind of as operations manager, part executive assistant. She kind of does everything. So she's wearing a bunch of hats to help calm my crazy entrepreneurial brain. But as she has helped lighten the load, it's helped me focus. And so again, on January 1st, 2018, I'll start with inbox 0. And then my goal is to stay there every day, every week, stay at inbox 0. But the reason I bring that up is that, I find that, I'm just as guilty as you are of chasing shiny objects, wanting to know what the next best thing is, fear of missing out, FOMO. And the reality is, there's nothing new under the sun. I've got great stuff I need to go through that I haven't gone through. I have notes I need to go back and review. I have courses I need to go back through, and that's what I'm doing. Until I've mastered what I already have. Why am I getting new stuff? And so that's what I want you to take a long, hard look at here at the end of the year. And depending on when you listen to this, maybe early in the year. You know what? Even if you're listening to this in the middle of the year, it's a great time to start new. It's a great time to start fresh. And find out who's motivating you, who you resonate with, who has the right approach, who has the right guarantees, right? We call them risk reversals in marketing. So taking away the objections before they even come up. Find out who gives you that, and then stick with them. I've talked about this before. Like when I was playing a lot of golf, I started hiring golf pros, for lessons. And depending on where I live, I got started when I was at Texas A&M, and of course, when the military moved me, I had to get a new golf pro. But I would get one and stick with that person. I had one there. I had a good friend that I made in Korea, so he just coached me while we were there. Then when I was in Southern California, I had one golf coach for the entire year, golf pro. I wasn't on the team. But she was helping me so much, I didn't need another one. Okay? And you know what? That's not quite true. Towards the end of my year, I did meet a guy that I really liked. And I took a few lessons from him, and I actually went golfing with him right before I left. So that was the first time I'd ever played around with a golf pro, playing the 18 holes and coaching me. But I stuck with that first pro for like 10 months of the 12 months I was there because I resonated with her. She understood my game. She was giving me instruction that was making an impact. So it would have been crazy for me to switch, right? And then I wasn't even looking for a new golf pro. I went to a new range. A guy struck up a conversation. Really, he was a great salesman. And I wasn't taking as many lessons from the former pro anymore. And so I took a few with him just before I left because he gave me some good pointers. But the point is, find someone that works with you and go deep. And it may take a month, it may take a year, it may take 5 years to suck all the knowledge out of their brain, right? Because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to give you every bit of advice and experience that I can. But, I'm 47 years old. I've been in sales for 23 years, full-time 21. Been coaching and running my own business for 11. It's going to take a little while for me to give you all the tips, okay? So, but that is my goal, is to get you as much information and advice that will accelerate your sales to shave off 5 or 10 or 20 years of your learning curve. Okay, so you can learn this and apply, what's taken me 21 years. I want you to be doing this in 21 weeks, maybe 21 days, but you'd have to be a fired up student for that. So join us, makeeverysale.com. Come hang out, come learn, come take notes. But regardless of what you do with the course, begin unsubscribing. You can't even read everything you're subscribed to, let alone apply it, let alone master it. So stop wearing yourself out. Stop making yourself feel guilty. Turn off the noise. Okay? Read some good books. Read some classics. Read some novels. Read some classic novels. Read a little bit of self-improvement. Okay? But learn to focus, to narrow your focus, to be still, to be calm, to be quiet. And I guarantee if you can do that, when you do that, things are going to go much better for you. In your personal life, your professional life, everywhere that it matters. Okay? So if we can help you do that at the Make Every Sale group, come on down. But hey, thanks for listening. Let's bring on Russ Perry. Russ Perry, suffering in silence out there in Scottsdale, Arizona, man. Thank you, for, taking off the flip-flops and putting down is it a chai tea? Or are you like a no-whip soy kind of guy? But thanks for putting it down and joining us on the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
It's kombucha.
Kombucha. Oh, you're a kombucha guy.
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Wes.
Hey, man. So I'm glad we're able to catch up so quick. You are the founder, CEO of Design Pickle. Those who do not know what Design Pickle is should be pickled. We will link to you. But you're doing unlimited graphic design. How the heck did you start it, and how the heck did you come up with a name like Design Pickle?
Well, I'll start with the name because it's not as exciting as you might think. But it also ties into how it got started. So the name really was a reaction because prior to Design Pickle, I had a creative agency, a branding agency. We really never knew what to call ourselves. It was hard to sell because we were just bad at branding ourselves. But all of our clients were these really B2B tech, like software type companies. And I went through years of trying to make them cool. That's usually why we get hired, because they would see companies like Dropbox or HubSpot and say, hey, we want to be cool like those guys. Make us cool. Let's do a new logo. Let's do all this stuff. And we'd eventually try to help them with their names, because their names would always be these nightmare like ABC Tech Innotech Corp or whatever that they would be. And you're just like, dude, you got a terrible name. And it was never any luck. You can't rename a baby. It's very hard to do. So when I started my own business, I literally was like, I hate boring brands. I hate something I can't share. My own company's brand was a nightmare. It was a bunch of acronyms, so it was impossible to even say on the phone. It was a bunch of consonants too, so it was like really weird to say. So I love pickles, and I said, I am going to do a design service, and we are going to be called Design Pickle because I love pickles, and you can know what I'm saying, and the domain.com was available. And that was it.
Well, I think I need to be rebranded as like Wes Pickle, because, I mean, people can't say the sales whisperer. They can't spell it. Or they'll leave the off, or they leave an ER off. So, after this call, after this interview, help me come up with, let's go check if westpickle.com is available. Okay.
Oh, any vegetable will work. In fact, since we've been slightly successful, we've seen a huge influx of like vegetable naming themes. So I think you could just kind of pick, you could be whatever, lima bean or whatever you like as far as your favorite thing, green bean.
Well, I mean, you see that too. I get in hindsight, right? Amazon, eBay, what's that? Oh, it's a jungle. It's, eBay. I don't even know what an eBay. I know what a bay is. What's an eBay? But once they're big, oh yeah, that's such an obvious name. No, it isn't.
Correct.
No, it isn't. So you just picked the name and owned it, huh? That's all right.
Yeah, and really we thought too, as far as like what I was selling something that sometimes isn't easy to do. Like I joke we all have had a design horror story where a designer maybe have left us hanging, or we got billed too much, or we couldn't find somebody to help us. So I know when I'm offering our services, there's people have had a lot of pain out there. So I really actually wanted it to be friendly, just inviting, just simple.
Right.
And as joking as the name is, like people really like pickles. And if they don't like pickles, they either have a funny story about why they don't like them, like they were tortured by their older sibling with a pickle or something. I don't know. But it ends up becoming like a very disarming conversation about the brand. And then before you know it, they're like, okay, well, what do you actually really do? And then I can tell them and pitch them and go from there.
Right. Yeah, it's cool. Because it does something, I talk about this in my sales training and, trying to get somebody's attention. There's a part of the brain called Broca's area. It's near the ear, actually. And, because we usually hear things, and even when we read things, we convert it to a sound in our mind, right? But we're trying to shock people out of their stupor. Mm-hmm. Everybody's walking around just following a script. Hey, Russ, how are you? Russ says, I'm fine. How are you? Say, how can I help you? And Russ says, oh, I'm just looking. Right? We just have this script. We're just on autopilot, and like, don't bother me. I'm too busy checking Instagram. It's like Design Pickle. That does not compute. I must stop looking at Instagram. I must focus my energy and process this. And that's all we want to do, right? Just give me a chance to engage So at least I can get an honest answer from you if I can help you or not. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Nice job on the name, man.
I'll get stopped like in the airport wearing our shirts because they're like, "What's up with the pickle?" Oh, yeah. And those guys usually aren't necessarily prospects, but at least it's that relentless like attention and marketing.
And they're good pickles, and they're not little cheap little like finger pickles. These things are big. They're like full on cucumbers, man.
Exactly.
That's all right. That's all right. All right. So you were doing this whole branding agency thing and probably beating your head against the wall with like unique requests and, oh my gosh, how do I scope this out and proposals and blah, blah, blah. How do you make the shift from that to saying, bam, unlimited, graphic design, one price, let's roll? That's kind of a big shift, isn't it?
It is, and it wasn't immediate. In fact, I sort of joke that I had the year of soul searching from 2014, where I closed my agency really unceremoniously with my partners. I had two partners in Argentina and Buenos Aires, and then I was consulting, and consulting was okay, but consulting really is just like a one-man agency. You're really doing the same thing. You're not necessarily doing anything different, at least in creative consulting. And I knew that I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be trading this time for money. And I spent a lot of time with a few real influential business coaches. And one of them, his name is Taylor Pearson, and he's actually a pretty prolific writer too. He had this simple exercise that was somewhat compiled from a couple programs like Strategic Coach, and then Ray Dalio, the hedge fund manager, had some pieces that we worked on. But it was a simple exercise like, Russ, what do you want? Answer that question, and then what kind of business is going to get you there? Don't necessarily get into the weeds of the thing you're doing, but talk about the features of the business. Talk about the features of like how the money is made. Like, what is there a brick and mortar presence? Is there not? And so I went through this exercise, and out of that, I realized that, okay, first of all, I didn't want to have a traditional company again. I really wanted to be leveraging online businesses and recurring revenue. And at that point, I was consulting, and I looked at this one unique part of my consulting, and it happened to be with when my clients needed really straightforward, not exciting design. And we're talking business cards, Facebook ad. I need a banner for this trade show I'm going to. So this piece of my business that I was doing as I was consulting after the agency was running really well. Like, I had an outsourced designer. I had kind of a part-time project manager that would receive these requests and then work with the designer. Everything was automated and systematized because I was frankly wanted to be kind of a lazy consultant, and just have it run like a system. And lo and behold, when I looked at what I was doing, I thought, well, why don't I just sell this to other people too? Not just, my own clients, but have anyone be able to get access to this easy system of production design. And the final test was looking at that list of things I'd created with Taylor. And on that list was stuff like, I wanted a business with recurring revenue. I wanted a business that I could travel and still be able to plug in online and work. I wanted a business that was profitable, which you might laugh, Wes, but that was like not the case for the first 8.5 years of my life as trying to be a business owner. So everything seemed to pass with flying colors. And that's when I did the branding, picked the fun name, and we ended up launching in January 2015.
Very nice. So when you say so how did you launch? I mean, you shifted, right? You shifted from being a consultant to having a company. So walk me through that transition.
Well, the we was me and my one designer, my project manager. We were the first. I'm the only founder, and they're my outsourced team. And I say outsourced, but more from like a geographic definition. From day one, everyone has always worked for us full time, regardless of their location in the world, and they happen to be located in the Philippines. That ended up becoming like a really vital difference for us to be able to do what we do. But we just put the website up. I created a way for people to put in their credit card, and we were live, and launching for me was guest blogging. I got every email I had ever had in my email accounts, and I imported them all into Gmail and blasted for a few times until Gmail blocked me because they don't like you doing that. Then I was like, I should probably sign up for like MailChimp, I think is what I signed up for. And we started doing the marketing then. But it was just, dude, it was grinding. It was hustling. It was asking people, hey, check us out. Can I write for you? Can you spread the word? But lo and behold, our very first month ever, we had about 20 clients and we were profitable and we were helping people and getting the designs done. And we've just grown and grown ever since.
Very cool. So, all right. So you did this. I mean, you're coming up on 3 years, right? And what has been, what has surprised you about growing a business now? And did things like the election impact you, and how, so like what surprises, and what kind of road bumps have you had to overcome in those nearly 3 years?
Well, I think that they've been very different with the scale and the size of the business. So the first year, we could break it up into kind of year 1, 2, and 3 because we're closing out on year 3 here. I think the first year was defining who our target audience was and then having confidence in that. And design is a very broad topic. It's like, hey, what business needs accounting? Well, all the businesses need accounting, at least the legitimate ones do. And same thing goes for design, is like what businesses need design? Well, all businesses do to some extent. So for us, it was like, what kind of person within a business are we trying to go after? And we tried creating personas, we tried creating target audiences and getting really granular. And every time what ended up happening is we would go after that group and then we'd get a big wave of people signing up that weren't at all in that bucket. And it would be like, well, what the hell? Like we thought this was our target audience, but yet now these people are using us. So we eventually got that figured out. And we ended up just not necessarily focusing on an industry, but more about the behaviors of our typical client. So it's not like they're in a specific vocation, but more someone, like one of the guiding principles that we have in sales is when we go after somebody is they have hired a designer before. Like they have the experience, they know what the price is, they can see that value out of the gates. So I don't, like, if you don't see our value proposition and immediately say like, wow, that's a good deal, I'm not going to want to work with you because you won't value what we do as much as someone who has had that experience. Year 2 was the year of growth from a personnel standpoint. And a lot of our biggest hurdles were just, how do we organize the team? How do we add in, management layers as our design team was growing and we couldn't just manage everybody directly, and a lot of people things. And then this final third year has really been honing in what our marketing strategy is. And we've tested a lot of stuff this year. So we did live events, we've done online ads, we've done partnerships, affiliates. I love doing podcasts. And so each year has been new challenges. And like I shared with you before you got on the call, within the last 24 hours, our biggest challenge was Amex shut our card down because we used it too much this past month. So it's every day something new and surprising.
So how big are you now?
From the different metrics? So we have about 1,700 clients.
Wow.
We have around 125 full-time team members.
Wow.
And we are doing $500K a month in recurring revenue.
Nice. So how did you determine a price point? Because I know people, when they get started, it's like, what is this really worth? I mean, you'd already come from that space, but doing a one-off for somebody, that may be thousands of dollars, and now you're like, hey, a few $100 a month, and it's unlimited. I mean, how do you come up with the price, and how do you keep from being abused?
Well, so two questions there. The first one, I looked at my experience as running my agency, And there would be no Design Pickle had I not had the background that I had, because what I realized with that experience of working with clients for just shy of 10 years, I saw their habits, and I was able to really identify the frequency and the volume that a typical client might use us. And there will always be the outliers, the bell curve, if you will, where people are never going to use us. And then there's people who are going to use us on one end all the time. But on average, I was able to say, okay, well, within the realm of what we do design, which isn't going to be everything under the sun, how long does it take to do some Facebook ads? How long does it take to do a one sheet or a background for a PowerPoint presentation? And based on that estimate, how many jobs could an average designer do a day? And then based on my cost of designer, what is their rate I need to cover? And then I just backed out some subscription models on top of that with the assumptions of what I feel like an average client would use in a week's time. And so the pricing ended up becoming this balancing act of what's disruptive, what catches your eye, what is going to stand out in the marketplace, but also what am I going to actually be able to profit on? And my initial assumptions were very correct, but my pricing was too low. We were actually launched at $195 a month, which was like crazy low. And we didn't quite double it, but we got up to $370 a month, which is where we've been. And at one point we tried to go a little bit higher, but the closer we got to $500 a month, the more we saw sales drop off, just because it's emotionally, like $500 is a little bit different than $300 and something dollars.
Right.
And so we just saw people, it was easier to just put it on your credit card at $300, where people were thinking about it or had to get approval the closer we got to $500.
Right. Do you give your new employees homework? I mean, how do you know they're going to meet the quality standards that you set?
Yeah, well, we have a pretty rigorous hiring process. From the moment someone submits an application to when they become a Design Pickle designer is about 4 weeks. And we're really not training them on design. That's assumed.
Sure.
We qualify that out before they even apply, or actually through the initial application process. The rest of the training is around our own proprietary systems and processes, as well as around the communication side of things. Because regardless of what you may think, the success of your relationship with a creative person comes down to how well you can communicate, not their skills as a creative.
Yeah.
And I could take an average or below average designer and get great work out of them, because I'm a great communicator on what I need and kind of what I'm thinking. Right. And the flip is true. You could have the world's most talented designer that can't design something for anybody, because if the communication's off, they just don't know what's going on. So that's what we focus on mainly in that training. And that's what we end up, managing on, is making sure all the details are in the email and asking questions and reading between the lines. When client says X, do they really mean that? Or should we maybe, go for this other idea because this seems more accurate for what their design audience might be.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing is because you have to literally train your customers, right? Mm-hmm. They have to learn your system, how to quantify their needs, clarify their needs, and did you get some pushback on that?
We do, but it ends up becoming a nice part of the filtering system for our service. Because if you sign up for Design Pickle and you get frustrated that it takes a day to get you matched with the designer, you're not going to like our service regardless. So we would really want you to cancel at that point. Our service isn't magicdesignpickle.com. It's just Design Pickle. So it takes time to learn who you are and get your designs going. Now, on average, jobs are delivered in a business day. So it ends up being an awesomely fast service compared to sometimes when people wait, a week for something. But but at the same time, that's what we've designed, sort of a sticky onboarding process so that we weed out the impatient people or the people who just don't follow directions, who like click through everything and their very first request is an original logo. Like, I need a new brand. And you're like, dude, did you not read anything? Like, we don't do those things. So we could really quickly identify potential problems right out of the gates.
Right. So what's next, man? What's are you like a 100-year planner kind of guy, or do you keep things simpler?
Well, so the two big things I'm working on, personally, we haven't mentioned it, but I'm launching my first book in January. We can talk about that in a second. Then with Design Pickle, we are actually launching a same-day service tier for Design Pickle. So that's going to be huge, launching in January as well, where we actually are taking a team of designers who are wanting to make some more money and actually work during the U.S. time zone, which isn't easy for someone in the Philippines. And then we're going to be putting clients who apply and get accepted into it. They'll actually be able to work live, like on demand with their own designer. It'll be a premium service for sure. We'll definitely charge more for it, but you'll have a much more, like, it'll be much more akin to having a legit part-time designer working for your brand and your business.
Right. Very cool. So then the book, though, what's up with that?
Well, the book was a passion project for me. I have been on quite a journey for myself personally. I mentioned closing my agency, but on a personal journey, I've really struggled. I struggled for most of my adult life with alcohol and addiction. And I finally conquered that in 2013 and been sober ever since, and found that my sobriety from alcohol actually really allowed me to have a lot more clarity across the board. Obviously, no surprise there, but I was able to really get clear about what I wanted in life and actually break free from my addiction of a bad business, which I was also addicted to, which was this agency. So I wrote a book about it, and it's a one-part personal memoir for myself and for my family and for anyone else who might find that story powerful or helpful to hear. And then also really practical about how I tackled addiction, kind of what the habits I created for myself, what I was able to translate into business directly, and then launching and growing Design Pickle from there. So it's this dual book. It's called The Sober Entrepreneur. So you can hear kind of the duality of meaning in that title. And I'm excited. Launches in January, and it was one hell of a project. I'm not an author, so it took me a long time, but I'm proud it's done. We have a printed copies, and I'm excited to get it into people's hands.
I've had, close to 300 interviews, and I've had a lot of people that had really tough stuff in their past. Like they had to hit rock bottom before they could start going back up. Is there a way to be on that upward trajectory without bouncing off the hard rock bottom?
Honestly, Wes, that's why I wrote my book, is I want to make sure people don't have to hit rock bottom. And that is like the literal reason why I spent a year and a half, as well as unearthing some dark stories from my life and my family, with my blessing from my wife, because she believes in my mission too. But yeah, that's why I wrote it, because I don't think you have to. It does accelerate change if your life is crumbling around you, but I really dive into the warning signs that people can identify early on, so that they don't have to hit rock bottom. Or even worse than rock bottom is getting sideswiped by rock bottom, meaning you don't even know it's coming, and all of a sudden you're bankrupt, or you're getting divorce papers, or your partner is embezzling, or something terrible happens that is like completely out of the blue.
Right.
So I tackle that, and that's my hope. So if I could change one life and prevent someone from having to get to that point and redirect them, then my book will be a success.
Right. Very nice. Well, man, that's awesome. Do you have a publisher? Are you doing this on Amazon or what?
Yeah, so both. I'm partnering with an independent publisher, Insurgent Publishing, one man shop, but definitely a guy who I've consumed books he's worked with, and so we are launching on Amazon. And right now, actually, if you go to soberentrepreneur.com, you can download a free chapter, and then eventually that same site will get a copy, links to the books as well as other content that we're going to be doing.
Okay. And so is it just Sober or is it The Sober Entrepreneur?
I own both domains. Okay. So you could choose whichever. Entrepreneur is already a gnarly word to spell. So just soberentrepreneur.com, and Google will correct you if you just Google it and misspell it.
I know. I use it so much. So I use a Mac, but I also so I use the internal text expander, but I bought one as well. But I have that ENTRE, and boom, it'll just spell it out for me. And I have capitalized and lowercase. I just use it so much. But I do that so many times Infusionsoft, HubSpot, Entrepreneur, all these different things, ActiveCampaign, whatever tools I use all the time. I like to figure out a way if I can save, half a second, plus not typing it incorrectly and then going back, and messing up your flow. Yeah, maybe it should be Russ Pickle. How about that? The Russ Pickle book.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have some short URLs, I'm sure, at some point.
Oh, man. Very nice. Well, man, this is awesome. I'll link to your site. I'll link to the book because this interview, back, I don't know, a couple years ago, sometimes I'd be months ahead of time, but I'm a couple of weeks ahead at most. Okay. So this will come out soon. This will come out before the book goes live. So we'll make sure to do it so people can find it. And so do you get out much? Do you hit the various trade shows, or do you just run things from Scottsdale and let your people get out there and represent?
We've like all of the above. First half of the year, I was really, really active on the sales floor, working with people. Second half of the year, I really focused on finishing the book and a few other projects internally that we were working on, some software. And next year we're going to be going really all digital, like full press digital advertising marketing strategies. So I will be more visible from a content standpoint, but we're going to do it all from the comfort of our office versus having to travel around everywhere.
Yeah. Amen. I love being home. If you had the video on, you would see me in my Superman footsie pajamas.
There you go. I just pretty much wear Design Pickle stuff all the time. So I'm always ready for marketing to get the shirt in a photo or something.
Man, my kids are like a walking trade show, man. I just came back from Infusionsoft's partner conference and all these T-shirts. And then my girls are like, yes, more pajamas. They just run around with.
I was doing a little clicking around, and I just thought, because you mentioned your daughter, and I saw that you're doing a fundraiser for the Navy SEALs with your daughter in January, the swim that you're doing.
Yep, Tampa Bay Frogman swim.
I'm actually pretty active in fundraising for the Navy SEALs, the Navy SEAL Foundation as well. Oh. So we did a big event for them with Design Pickle in July. Cool. And so I just wanted to say, nice. That's like the best organization I found in a long time. So killer job. And good luck with the swim.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I've been a classmate of mine, became a SEAL when we graduated. He actually cross commissioned from the Air Force to the Navy. And, so I donated to him, 5 years ago. And now this is my fourth year doing the swim.
Well, great. Well, I've already donated a lot to them this year, so I'm not going to be pledging for your swim. However, I will make sure that when the podcast goes live, I'll make sure to call it out because our clients know all about it.
Oh, and good.
There's a lot of new clients that we haven't had since we did our fundraiser in July. So I'll point out, because I think it's a pop-up on your site. So I'll make sure that they're aware of that so they can make a pledge for you.
That's it, man. Very cool. Well, Russ Perry, all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona, man. And you know what? I'm coming out next week. If you're around, I'll give you a shout. I'm going down to Infusionsoft in Chandler.
I am not. Unfortunately, that's the last trip of the year for me.
Next
week, so
all right, fine. I will just come and I will eat the pickle on your desk so you know that I was there.
Yeah, man, dude. Hey, we got tons of pickles here. So if you ever want to stop by and get it, you're more than welcome to.
All right. I will swing by tomorrow. Well, man, thanks for coming on the Sales Podcast. It's been awesome.
Thanks a lot. Take it easy, Wes.
Don't you love people like Russ that just lay it on the line, transparent, open? You know, there's no delete button on the internet, so you might as well put it all out there. I love the fact that he's willing to share, his heartache, his issues with alcohol. He got the blessing of his wife, so, all good stuff. I hope you got a lot out of this. What I am applying right now, literally right now, I spoke with my team yesterday on this, had another follow-up call with a couple of others on the team today on how do we productize better? How do we create more standard offerings that still offer great value, but don't wear us out with constant iterations, constant customization. It's hard to scale that. And so you got to charge more. And we got to charge more, you can serve less people. So you got to find that balance, right? But he created that system, the process, and you can learn a lot regardless of your business. How can you streamline things? How can you standardize things? How are you onboarding people? How are you getting them up to speed? How are you ensuring that they're good, that they're competent, they're getting stuff done? So he's got some great advice in there. 125 full-time staff now, $500,000 in recurring revenue. So the guy's doing some good stuff. So follow him online, get his book. If you're an entrepreneur, get his book. If you or someone in your family, someone you know is struggling with drugs or alcohol, he's leading, with value, and you know what? It's paying off. So, you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with, right? So hang out with Russ digitally at least. Okay. And if you want to hang out with cool people, maybe I'm one of them. I think I'm kind of cool. My kids even sometimes sort of think I'm kind of cool. But if you want to hang out with cool people, entrepreneurs, salespeople looking to grow, come hang out with us. Make Every Sale. MakeEverySale.com. 41 professionally done videos. A whole lot more unprofessionally done videos. But hey, the content's great, and that's all that matters. Handouts, workbooks, templates, scripts, you name it. Everything that I can create to help you make every sale is in the program. So check that out. So thanks for listening. Please be sure to subscribe. Subscriber numbers are up. That's always great. We get more downloads. Helps us bubble up. Helps me help more people for free. Then I get traffic coming to the website. Some of those become customers. So that's the cycle of life, the cycle of business. So when you subscribe, when you share this, when you give me a 5-star review, when you comment, when you engage on social media, all of that adds up and it helps. So please do that. I appreciate it. I do notice it. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen enough. I'm surprised every time I talk with people, big podcasters, small podcasters, we all have the same issue. So when you give referrals, when you give testimonials, you're more likely to ask for them yourself and your business will grow. So you lead from the front. Thanks for listening. And now, go sell something.